I think there's a lot of generational stuff that goes back. I think we have discussions about things. A lot of the stuff, in terms of the work that I'm involved in, is a lot of work with young people, and in terms of the problems that they might come up with or might say that there are in their communities or their families or their backgrounds, goes back many years, and is passed down generational. So I think it's stemmed from long ago, and it's just happened to come on and come through people's generations and through people's families. I don't know the direct root of what it would be, obviously, but I think whatever people have been told, it gets exaggerated, and people argue points that might not be so truthful, or people might cause arguments for causing argument's sake. So I think that it's something that stems through generations, is passed down through families and through friendships and stuff, which then manifests itself in day-to-day life as well. Again, goes back to the kind of definition of sectarianism and what it is, but I think there would be things like football would be related, and racism can be related as well, because the way I would look at it is that it's a prejudice against a particular denomination. So if there would be people with particular ethnic minority backgrounds or whatever, I think that they would be looked upon in that kind of idea as well. So I think things like football, religion, obviously, racism, maybe a wee bit of territorialism as well, because depending on the areas that you're from, could be typically known as a Catholic area or a Protestant area, or coming to football, a Celtic area or a Rangers area. So I think those kind of things would be associated with that. Having discussions with people and sharing good practice of how people work to tackle or to combat sectarianism to an extent are definitely useful, and working with young people, but maybe not necessarily typical young people in maybe secondary school or anything, but like nursery age maybe, working through from the very beginning, so that when they then go home, and also working with families, working with the families and the parents and grandparents or whoever involved, if people are being educated on it in different groups or schools or anything like that, and then they're going home to people that are kind of pinpointing that that's not right and this is the right idea, or and they've maybe got sectarian views, then maybe working with them as well. I suppose people, in terms of people that might be attacked in a sectarian have had a sectarian attack or treated in that kind of way, they would have a kind of place where they would be scared to show who they are, where they come from, where they belong and stuff like that, and what their background is. In terms of the very kind of obviously physical ones would be maybe people in particular colours, and they're not worried about doing things like that. Like we were talking about it today, just somebody with a green blazer and they're getting attacked in the street for that. So I'd say people would maybe have a wee bit less fear, but I'm not saying it would take away every obviously fearful thing that might happen in Glasgow or Scotland, because that would be ideal, but it wouldn't. It's not anything I've ever really taken to heart. I used to work in a hotel, and I had a name badge on with my full name, and my name's quite Irish, and I can't remember what had happened. It was after an Old Firm game. There was a group of football fans in and they were drinking, and he said something about being in the Fenian section, and I says no, I'm a Rangers supporter, just to like have a laugh with him, and he swore at me and he says, "Aye, with a fucking name like that you're not." And then I just went along, but we were talking about this today, and it was like banter, so I just went along with it because I was working there as well, and I never did much about it. And then afterwards I was annoyed about it because I was in that situation where I could have addressed it, but I never. I suppose the fact that there was alcohol involved in their part, I didn't want to. I was also coming back from a football game once, and I had a green and white scarf on, and I just walked by a grown man and he called me a Fenian bitch, and I was maybe 15, and I was a bit worried because I was East End of Glasgow on my own walking to get a bus, so but I never did it, obviously, because I didn't want to approach that subject at the time. People from all religions and all backgrounds working together. I don't know if there's one thing that could be done, to be honest, but I think it would be a stepping stone to that direction of people from all backgrounds and all communities working together, and not so much just a one-off event, but working together to work in the long term and making sure that they're putting in different kind of So they're putting in different kind of efforts to make sure that it's not just a one-off fix, it's something that's going to last long term. But I don't know if it would be like one thing in particular, but just people of all kind of backgrounds, ages, races, whatever, everyone just working together. But that is so idealistic, it's untrue.